So I get a lot of people that call me that want to buy land that borders Forest Service or state land here in Montana. And it's for obvious reasons. Nobody wants people building behind them. When you buy something on Forest Service, you have access to thousands of extra acres than you would with your own land. The only bad thing is obviously so does the rest of the public, so you could have people behind you, but it is a very desirable piece of property to have something that borders Forest Service. So today I'm going to talk about another location that's a great place to buy. So in all the years I've been making these videos, I've never done one on conservation easements. These areas may be as good, if not better, than bordering Forest Service land. Let's talk about how conservation easements work and how to find them.
All right, so I climbed all the way up this mountain to give you a better view of Montana. So the least you can do is subscribe to our channel. And when you do, don't forget to hit the little bell and you'll be notified every time we make a new video about Montana.
So if you've never heard of a conservation easement or you're not sure how they work, I'll tell you a little bit about it. First of all, a conservation easement is an agreement between the landowner and one of the local land trusts that puts an easement on the property where it can never be split up. It can never be, subdivided. You can't build houses on it. You can't develop it, basically. And the reason people do this is because they get huge tax benefits from the state and federal government, because obviously it makes the land less valuable to them because you can't sell it off to the highest bidder and, to put in a subdivision or something like that. So no, on a normal piece of property, you have to go with, you have to go follow the rules of the zoning and the different covenants to be able to do, if you're going to subdivide or whatever you want to do with it. On a conservation easement, these are forever. So you can never build on it. Once you agree to this and sign off on everything and it's recorded, nothing can ever be built on there. A lot of farmers will use these and they get huge write-offs for these, and you need to talk to an accountant. I looked at it, but as usual with the tax laws, it was 20 pages of information that I'm not going to bore you with. But let's just say that farmers get a huge benefit from doing this as far as taxes go and write-offs on their property. A lot of these easements, these conservation easements, there are different rules you can write in or different agreements you can write in, mainly for the farmers if they need to build another building for the farming operation. Sometimes that's allowed. But the main thing these conservation easements do is prevent big developments, big housing developments, and they're there to protect the land and keep the open space we have here in Montana. And again, they benefit the owner when they do it with write-offs. And what I want to talk about, and what I touched on a little bit in the intro, is they definitely benefit the people that border it, just like if you were to border Forest Service, because now you can sell your property and tell people that nothing will ever be built behind you or nothing can ever be built. Again, these are forever, and you can't, like if the guy that owns the easement, if that property sells, which they do, the next owner can't decide, well, I don't want this conservation easement and I want to split this up. That can't happen. It can never go away. And I tried to Google it and look up ones that have, and I'm sure maybe, there's the odd one, one in a million that they were able to find a lawyer that could get it taken off the land, but I haven't been able to find any, and I know they're very, very strong, and they don't go away. So as I mentioned earlier, there are a few different reasons people do this. One is to protect like wildland, wildlife areas. Another is for farming. And again, when a farmer does this, and those are the most common types, when a farmer does this, they're still allowed to use the land to farm, and they can still farm the land and use it the way they've been using it. They just can't sell it off, or their kids can't sell it off to be subdivided later on. A lot of times people use these for estate planning, and if they're planning on passing this property down to their kids or grandkids, whatever it may be, again, there's a big tax benefit for doing that because the land isn't worth as much as it once was. And it's kind of funny that, they're making the land worth less. They are getting the benefits of the tax write-offs and all of that, but it basically jacks up the price of the people that border it because, like I said, you can now tell everybody when you go to sell your house that nothing will ever be built behind us, and you'll have the views, you'll have the wildlife, whatever it may be. But as I've explained, it's a huge benefit to buy something that borders a conservation easement. Now, these conservation easements are all different, and each one will be a little different than the next one, and you'll have to definitely check into that if you're buying next to one. Not all of them are going to allow public access. When these farmers or when people do a conservation easement, that doesn't mean that they're opening it up for the public to use. A lot of people do that. A lot of these wildlife areas are open to the public that are conservation easements, but a lot of the farms are not. And it's up to the individual owner how they want it to work. So don't just think, if you're buying on a conservation easement, it's going to be exactly like buying on Forest Service. And that would be the biggest difference is Forest Service, you can use that land. It's public land, but a conservation easement may or may not be. So you definitely want to check into that. Where it is the same as Forest Service, nothing's ever going to be built there. So that's a huge benefit if you're buying a property that borders one of these conservation easements. So if you're wondering how to find these conservation easements, let's get on my computer and I'll show you the Flathead Valley site that will show you where all of these are located. Okay, so here's the Flathead Valley GIS site, and I've talked about this in other videos. And what I've learned is that this is probably one of the best sites in Montana. The other counties, I'm sure some of them have this as well. I have not checked all of them, but the Flathead Valley one is great, and it shows these conservation easements. Let's zoom in here a little bit, and I will show you what I'm talking about. You have to get into a certain distance before they show up. So here we are, these green areas, these are the conservation easements. And you can look up here at the legend and it shows you right there, the green is the conservation easement. And it shows everything else they have on here. But it's kind of handy. You can scroll around and see the whole valley or see the whole county and where these spots are. And if you click on them, you can get more information about how big they are and all of that. But I just thought I'd show you this if you're curious as to where these are located. A lot of these down here by the river are for wildlife purposes, some farming down in this part of the valley as well. So kind of a good spot to check these out. And I would suggest, if that's what you're looking for, that you get on this site and look around. So if you have any more questions about conservation easements, or you'd like to find some properties that are located near or border conservation easements, let us know. All of our contact information is at the end of the video.
Thank you for watching our video. Please call, text, or email for more information. And don't forget to watch our other videos about Montana.